Stop spreading misinformation and doomerism. Wait, what? I wish I could get the doses, dude. Anyway, it totally does make sense. To me, at least. It totally does make sense that there are... Wait, what the fuck? It makes sense to me that there are people who are trying to get the fucking vaccines despite the fact that they're not eligible for it yet. Wisconsin Senate just voted to overturn governor's mandate. Good, dude. Fuck it, dude. Great. Okay. We watched the What's Driving California Exodus.
Why did the U.S.
Now let's watch how the United States stole Iraq. But before we do that, top of the hour, every hour, it's time for another 60-second ad break right now. I can't watch a GameStop squeeze because I don't know. I don't know what video we can watch at the GameStop squeeze. Okay. Also, does this have TOS in it? C-Mac, you said you watched it? All right, let's do it. Let's welcome Johnny into our homes, dude. It's time. It's time to embrace the Johnny culture, okay? I'm welcoming Johnny into my home and yours too. But before we do that, it's top of the hour, every hour, 6-second ad break. Like I said, you no longer want to see the ads. All you need to do is subscribe. You can do it for $5 or for free with your Twitch Prime by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. You get one free Prime subscription. This way you can avoid the ads. Here's the 60-second ad break right now. There it is.
War in Iraq.
Let's get started.
We're in the early stages of military operations.
Growing up, the narrative was always oil. So it was like we went to Iraq to get oil, like America always does.
We might find ourselves without adequate supplies of energy in the future.
All major oil fields in the South are now under coalition control.
But that's kind of the lazy explanation. It's not quite it. Oil's a part of it, but it's not the main reason. We went to war in Iraq because several powerful American men wanted to. Some of them thought it was vital. We had to. Others just wanted to project American power. But either way, here we are 18 years later. Nearly 10,000 Americans dead, over 200,000 Iraqis dead, over $1 trillion tax dollars spent. And the result? A Middle East
Trillion tax dollars spent on Iraq alone, by the way. The total cost is $7 trillion since the beginning of the war on terror post 9/11 era. I think it was $7 trillion. It might be 8 by now. Like $7 trillion fucking 2 years ago. And that's a conservative estimate. Feel like there's TOS here. You should wait, let a mod check it first. Yeah, I think there might be TOS here. I'm welcoming Johnny into my home, but I feel like Johnny is gonna welcome TOS into my home. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a little worried. Hi, I saw on day 3 in the Pentagon. I found forced feminization vaccine. Do you want an early copy in your P.O. box? Let me know. Thank you, please.
that is less stable than ever, in part because of the US presence, and really because of it. How did this happen? I mean, I grew up and lived through this. I studied it as an undergrad, I studied it in grad school, and yet it's taken me until now to really take a hard look and to really understand exactly what happened. So this is how the US stole Iraq.
Saddam Hussein is a tyrant, a murderer, and a man who has started 2 wars. He is clearly someone who cannot be trusted or believed.
All right, so it's the night of 9/11. The country is reeling. Who did this terrible thing and why? How should the US respond? And it became clear very soon amongst intelligence and counterterrorism people that Al-Qaeda was behind it. This terrorist group that was mainly based in Afghanistan. Later that night, the night of 9/11, over at the Pentagon, which earlier that day had been hit by an airplane, a memo comes in from the Deputy Secretary of State. The memo is urgent. It's for the Defense Intelligence Agency, the people who spend their time doing all the intelligence for war and other defense purposes. And this memo tells the intelligence agents not to look into Al-Qaeda, the people they know did it, but instead to look into ways Iraq has been involved in terrorism for the previous decade. The intelligence agents who got this memo sort of scratched their head and were like, wait, what? What's going on here? These people were very familiar with the intel, and they knew that this attack had come from Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan. Afghanistan is like more than 1,000 kilometers away from Iraq. It is a completely different place. They speak a different language. It has nothing to do with Iraq. Afghanistan and Iraq are totally different. We had just been attacked by Al-Qaeda, and yet the Deputy Secretary of Defense is asking for information about Iraq and its ties to terrorism. The person who sent this memo was the Deputy Secretary of State, Paul Wolfowitz, and he was just getting started. A few days after 9/11, the president gathers all of his top advisors out at his forest retreat right outside of Washington, D.C. They were there to discuss how to respond to these attacks. The focus of this discussion was, of course, Afghanistan. How do we retaliate against Al-Qaeda, this terrorist group that has been given sort of a safe haven by the government of Afghanistan? So they're sitting in some conference room in some lodge in this forest retreat, debating.
You might be wondering, like, what Paul Wolfowitz has been up to in the Trump administration. Well, let me tell you, he's writing Wall Street Journal opinion op-eds talking about how the Gulf War ended too soon. Bush was right not to go all the way to Baghdad, but he should have backed Shiite rebels in southern Iraq. So that's what he wrote in August the 12th, 2020. So that's what he's been up to. All of these people are war criminals, and they should be tried and potentially thrown into jail for the rest of their lives, if not worse ways to deal with them. But of course, instead, we prop them up as liberal heroes.
Debating how they're going to retaliate against Al-Qaeda. And who pipes up again but this guy, Paul Wolfowitz, this time with the support of his boss, Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld. So Wolfowitz pipes up and he's like, you know, 9/11 was a pretty sophisticated attack. There's no way that this ragtag terror group of Al-Qaeda could have pulled it off all alone. They probably had help from Saddam in Iraq. And then Wolfowitz says that when it comes to global terrorism, Saddam is actually the head of the...
By the way, the irony is, like, now they're literally doing it with Iran. Well, they did it with Iran back then as well, which is hilarious because Iran literally helped the American intelligence communities fight against Al-Qaeda and the Sunni rebel groups that propped up in the aftermath of the destabilization in the region. And they have fought back against the... again, numerous other groups, including ISIS, in the region for a very long time because they are from a different sect. But of course, they considered Iran to be a part of the axis of evil alongside... they considered Iran to be a part of the axis of evil alongside fucking Al-Qaeda, which is very interesting, very weird. Along with Saddam Hussein. When there's literally no connection whatsoever. The only connection, as a matter of fact, that you could tie between like Al-Qaeda and fucking Iraq is literally an American person that, or an American-made head of terror that they propped up themselves.
Basically saying that Saddam is behind all of this. And everyone in the room is sort of like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Saddam Hussein is a really bad guy, but he's not the head of the snake of international terrorism. Like, what? All these people, these like very informed international like advisors. Oh man. After some astonished glances, the head of the Counterterrorism Center raises his hands and says, Mr. President, quote, "We were attacked on 9/11 by Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan. Saddam Hussein in Iraq has nothing to do with this." It's just like, I'm sorry. I feel like as an 8th grader at this time, I was asking these questions where I was like, is Iraq the same as Afghanistan? And here are like the leaders of our country having to explain that like Saddam Hussein has nothing to do with Afghanistan and Al-Qaeda. So this meeting at Camp David, they move on and they keep talking about these plans to bomb Al-Qaeda. But Paul Wolfowitz is stubborn and he does not give up. Later that day, there's a break in all of the meetings. It's like the afternoon. Attorney General John Ashcroft is playing the piano in this sort of lobby, and a few others were singing along these like piano spirituals that he's playing. Condoleezza Rice.
Guys, it's not because they're all brown. Racism is, or ignorance is actually an out for these people. No, it's not because they were all fucking brown. The justification for the common folk came from the fact that they're all brown. But the real reason why they wanted to do it was because of their actual interest in overtaking Iraq as well. Like, it's not because they were like, oh, they're all brown, so like, you know, I guess we could like, they're all brown, so they might be doing it. Like, no, they weren't like, oopsie, it's literally Saddam who's responsible for 9/11. They were like, no. This is the narrative that I want you, members of the intelligence community, to give back to me. That's why I'm sticking it in here over and over again, that it's Iraq, it's Saddam.
This is one of these people singing along. President Bush is sitting over by the fire. It's like this rustic cabin, it's all cozy. He's drinking a cup of coffee, and who cozies up to him at the fire but Paul Wolfowitz? And Bush is like, ugh, here we go again. So he's like, listen, check out my plan. Half of Iraq's people live either way up here, where they don't like Saddam, they're Kurds, they've been brutalized by Saddam, they do not like him, or they live way down here in the south, which is right near the border of our good friend Kuwait. We could easily come into Iraq and take both of these big population centers. Oh, and in doing so, says Paul Wolfowitz, we could naturally take the major oil fields in Iraq, thus cutting off Saddam from his main revenue source. Or, in other words, he said,
which is why the Ministry of Energy was the only ministry that they took over in the first day of the Iraqi invasion. Like, Department of Education, Ministry of Health, all these other fucking places were bombed to shit with the exception of the Ministry of Energy. Okay? That was left intact and completely controlled by the American allied forces. I wonder what the reason was for that.
That making Saddam, quote, the mayor of Baghdad. He would only have power in Baghdad. He would be cut off from the north and south of his country. In this moment, I can almost see George Bush's ears like literally perking up when he hears this last part about cutting off the oil supply. After all, Bush was a former Texas oil man, and he knew the importance of having access to oil. So this plan sort of intrigued Bush, and he literally said to Paul Wolfowitz, quote, why didn't you bring this up in the meeting? And Wolfowitz is like, well, I didn't want to like step on the toes of my superiors. And Wolfowitz, we know you just wanted to cozy up against the president and plant the seed of how easy it would be to take over Iraq. So put yourself in George Bush's shoes for a second. Your country was just brutally attacked on your watch, and you are completely at a loss of what to do. There's no clear, easy target to retaliate against. After a day of meetings of sitting around trying to figure out how to retaliate, George Bush is realizing that retaliating against a tiny group of terrorists living in caves in Afghanistan is like trying to hit smoke with a baseball bat. Kind of impossible. What George Bush wanted and felt like he needed, and it turns out what a lot of American lawmakers also wanted, was a clear, decisive target. Not to try to hit smoke with a baseball bat, but a nice, solid hit. A home run. So I believe this day at Camp David, 4 days after 9/11, is when President Bush decided that he would find a way to invade Iraq, to make Americans and himself feel like he was.
By the way, not to foreshadow something really horrible, but if we inevitably do go to war with Iran and cite the fucking denuclearization agreement being thrown out as a cause, remember that every single person in my chat that has fucking come into this community routinely to say, oh, well, Iran actually destroyed the terms of the denuclearization agreement and they were developing nuclear weapons for a very long time, are all fucking liars and pieces of shit who just like, or they're dupes themselves. Either they're literally working for the fucking State Department or they're just doing it for free because they're a bunch of liberal psychopaths. But again, remember that that is just as much a lie as the weapons of mass destruction were that ultimately became the justifying reason for invasion. Okay? And then 10 years down the line, we'll say, oh, well, oops, that was actually a lie. Oh my God. That's crazy. Pieces of shit.
Is actually doing something definitive, like toppling dictators, as a rebuttal to the terrible attacks of 9/11. Even though Iraq had nothing to do with Al-Qaeda, he and his people around him would
you listen
find
to Blowback?
a way
Noah is
to
my friend, and you should listen to Blowback, but no, I'm not getting this information from Blowback.
make a connection.
But I assume they talk about all this.
Terrorists, why not go in and get them? Well, the evidence is pretty conclusive that the Iraqis have indeed harbored terrorists.
So over the next year, this seed that Paul Wolfowitz really planted and nourished in George Bush's mind starts to spread to everyone around him. And they start to find a way to...
The stuff about China from the same sources is true? Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. The stuff about China? What do you mean? Are you making a comparison to... are you making a comparison between Iraq, Iran, and China? Are you out of your fucking mind, dude? I mean, yes, the Western media does lie about China regularly. They do. And then there are things that they don't lie about China at all.
to sell the American public on this idea of war with Iraq. They get the British on board, and soon there's a full-blown debate which revolves around this story that Saddam has really big, terrible weapons.
Like, these fucking morons. Iran did violate the nuclear deal, though. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. You're a dumb bitch. You are either a silly bitch who is literally fucking fed this bullshit hook, line, and sinker from, I don't know, truthteller.eaglefuck.net, or you, I guess, work for the fucking State Department or something. Like, there's no other reason. Show me your pay stubs, or admit that you're a dumb fucking moron, because if you look to third-party investigators, European Union investigators that also were looking at Iran was absolutely, without a fucking shred of a doubt, following on the terms of their denuclearization agreement. Okay? They were. Even after the United States decided we are going to put sanctions on Iran, despite the fact that they are following on their terms of denuclearization. So shut the fuck up. God, bunch of fucking brain dead hogs, dude. So fucking horny for war. Yeah. The head of the international organization charged with monitoring Iran's compliance with the 2015 nuclear deal said Iran is meeting its obligations under the accord and warned against states trying to influence verification activities. But wait a minute. Yukiya Amano? Is he Chinese? Huh? He's looking Chinese or North Korean to me, brother. You're in on it. I'm too racist, so I can't tell them apart. Doesn't matter to me. Remember, my stupidity does not stop me from having an opinion on this conversation, brother. Can't trust him. He doesn't look white to me. He must be Antifa. Anyway.
And that he will likely give those...
By the way, the real argument isn't even that they weren't abiding by the nuclear denuclearization. Here's the fucking... Okay. Here's how you know when you're talking to a dumb fuck moron in the chat who's literally fucking fed the State Department propaganda hook, line, and sinker, but like didn't even read the entire talking points. So the real counter argument to that is, and at least more knowledgeable psychopathic neoliberals and those who want to engage in American imperialism, the real ones that have done the research at least don't say like, they weren't following the agreement, because like they very clearly were, and it wasn't the American authorities that were telling that were verifying this process. It was international authorities. So you just read the fucking headlines and you go along with that because you're a fucking idiot. If you were at least a little bit more knowledgeable than a disingenuous person, the least you could do is say, I don't know, that they were like state funders of terrorism or something, or like even Donald Trump supporters know more than you, you dumb fucking piece of shit. Like, even Donald Trump supporters know to say, like, well, they were state funders of terrorism, and that's why we had to throw away the nuclear deal. You know what I mean? At least learn to, go beyond the headlines and give me a couple additional fucking line items. Okay? Iran has officially broken part of its commitment in the 2015 nuclear deal, following through on its months-long threat and further raising tension with the United States. Oh, I wonder what time period that fucking talking point is from. I wonder when they fucking, when they left their commitment. They still left it after we ripped it apart, brother. They left it after we threw the deal on the ground, even though they were following the commitments, brother. They should have stayed on, even though we were giving them sanctions, brother. So fucking stupid.
Weapons to terrorists who will strike the United States in another 9/11 type attack, but way worse.
The debate about the war against Iraq has divided many along the political spectrum.
Real concern about this Russian war.
And Bush just kept saying weapons of mass destruction over and over again because he learned that short phrase.
Very dangerous weapons of mass destruction into this country.
But wait, hold on a second. Don't be fooled. The lead up to the Iraq War is often remembered as this robust debate about WMDs, weapons of mass destruction.
Saddam Hussein will continue to increase his capacity to wage biological and chemical warfare, and will keep trying to develop nuclear weapons.
But I'm here to tell you that you need to think differently about it. The decision to go to war in Iraq was already made. It was made moments after 9/11, when a small group of powerful men imagined a glorious military campaign to liberate oppressed Iraqis and topple a dictator to make themselves and their country feel like we got a home run after we were attacked. From there, everything molded to fit that decision. Did Saddam Hussein have weapons of mass destruction? Did he want to give those to terrorists? No. There was no evidence. The little evidence there was...
Again, completely fabricated, no evidence whatsoever, and everyone in the media whipped up everybody else in the frenzy, and there were so many fucking morons who were like, nah, brother, you don't understand. They got weapons. They got WMDs, brother. We need to go in there, brother. Nope, totally made up. Same with the fucking Iran shit. Okay, same exact bullshit with the Iran. International authorities saying there is no evidence that there are weapons of mass destruction in Iraq at the time. Doesn't matter to me, brother. I believe there's yellow cake. There's yellow cake. We need to do something about it. And again, same shit with fucking Iran now. Doesn't matter.
Threadbare and super speculative. But these guys turned into sort of like tea leaf readers, where you could look at the tea leaves and see whatever you need to support the decision that they made many months earlier. And it wasn't just these guys. Soon, this vision of toppling Saddam and having this American victory spread to the American Congress, Republicans and Democrats, who were also getting on board with this idea of America, a force for good, toppling the bad guy. It's a really wild study in human psychology. When you're a true believer in something, you really, really believe that you need to do something. Everything you see confirms what you want to believe or what you need to believe. We all do it, but it's just scary when our leaders are doing this, and they're doing it on beliefs and decisions that have deep ramifications for human suffering. So yeah, you can go over the debates and the intelligence and the back and forth on whether or not Saddam had weapons of mass destruction. It was all a show to help these people confirm what they already decided they wanted to do. So by the end, after weapons inspectors had done like 700 inspections and found no weapons, this group of guys eventually just start resorting to full-on lying. Dick Cheney gets up in a speech and says,
Simply stated, there is no doubt that Saddam Hussein now has weapons of mass destruction.
well, there was plenty of doubt. In fact, he simply stated there can be no evidence that Saddam has WMD, was the reality at the time. Even the Secretary of State, Colin Powell, who was totally against this fanciful vision of going and invading Iraq, even him eventually got on board, painstakingly getting in front of the UN and going over a bunch of thin or non-existent evidence and claiming that it was watertight.
My colleagues, every statement I make today is backed up by sources, solid sources. These are not assertions. What we're giving you are facts and conclusions based on solid intelligence.
Solid intelligence. No. These are words that Colin Powell has lived to regret for the rest of his life.
Aww.
A lot of people saw Colin Powell as like the one sane guy in the room. And so here at the UN, when he's drinking the Kool-Aid and backing this intelligence, a lot of people got on board. By October 10th, 2002, the US Congress was fully on board. Almost all the Republicans in the chamber, as well as a sizable group of Democrats, voted to authorize the U.S. to use force against Iraq.
Senate Joint Resolution 45 to authorize the use.
Wait, who was one of the leading Democrats aside from Hillary Clinton that was spearheading that effort? Well, Hillary Clinton lost, so she couldn't become president, but oh, that's right. It was Joseph Robinette Biden.
Use of United States armed forces against Iraq.
He has said he wants the power to be able to go to war. It seems completely consistent with that request that we say, yes, Mr. President, you have that power to go to war.
This resolution gives President the authority he needs to confront the threat posed by Iraq.
Saddam Hussein and his sons must leave Iraq within 48 hours.
And then it happened.
Sirens went off in Baghdad just a few minutes ago. An air raid is in progress over Baghdad.
Explosions in Baghdad.
Our nation enters this conflict reluctantly.
Come on, bro. Reluctantly, bro. Look, they're welcoming us as liberators, folks. The fucking boys, dude. They're welcoming us, dude. They love us. They're so happy that we're there liberating. Called the pro-democracy movement. Mission accomplished, folks.
2 months after the invasion, George Bush gives a speech on an aircraft carrier with this giant sign that says, quote,
Wallah, bro, look, I am Iranian, bro. I'm telling you right now. MEK, bro, #1. We love MEK, bro. America, bless my nation, bro. We love it, bro. Same shit. Same energy with the fucking, at the time, people being like, well, we found this Iraqi guy who suspiciously will become, I don't know, fucking mayor or some shit later down the line to say that they are welcoming Americans as liberators.
Quote, mission
that
accomplished.
Is a real, yeah,
this is the type of thing Bush surely was dreaming about while he
was a very famous fucking moment. Mission accomplished 2 months in.
Sitting by the fire at Camp David, drinking coffee, listening to Paul Wolfowitz explain the plan to take over Iraq. Big, triumphant America just toppled the dictator. Mission accomplished. But this is the part of the story when all of the dreams, the fantasies, the visions of glory start to topple. Mission accomplished was really mission just beginning.
Bro, that's crazy.
One of the first things that the US did when they took over Baghdad was they dissolved the huge Iraqi military. They just said, no, we don't want you anymore, all of you commanders and leaders, soldiers, you're out. We're going to start fresh. In typical simplistic thinking of these visionary leaders, the idea was that doing so would allow them to start totally fresh with a new army completely rid of any sort of influence of Saddam Hussein. So now you have a bunch of ex-Iraqi army members who
This is really good analysis, by the way. It is surprisingly good. Like, I don't usually expect like with obvious exceptions, but what he's talking about with the dissolution of the armed forces and how they literally ended up having no fucking infrastructure, no future opportunities whatsoever, and a fuckload of guns that they had hidden away, turning into ISIS and turning into like radical like militant groups
are angry at the United States and unemployed. Oh, and all of them have extensive military experience.
There is
Johnny
a
has a
large
degree in
number
Middle East
of
politics. I mean, who cares?
Former Iraqi soldiers that are unemployed now.
He's right.
That is a
like
huge
100%
concern.
right.
It is just painful. What a terrible decision. So these guys run off and they start to join the growing number of rebel groups that are there cropping up to oppose the United States presence. One of those groups is called Al-Qaeda in Iraq, which later turns into the Islamic State of Iraq, which eventually becomes the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, or ISIS, a well-oiled governmental and military organization run by many of the military leaders who were ousted by the Americans from the Iraqi military when they took over Baghdad.
Oops.
So Iraq turns into the US trying to fight this growing rebellion. Billions of dollars turns into tens of billions of dollars, and then hundreds of billions of dollars, and eventually crossing over into over $1 trillion of taxpayer money to fight this unnecessary war. Saddam Hussein was a really bad guy. He committed mass genocide against his own people, the Kurds. He executed many others, imprisoned many others. All in all, the number of dead.
Never mind. I was worried that there was going to be blood there. There was no blood.
Saddam Hussein's hands. Numbers around 250,000, according to Human Rights Watch. That was over 25 years of his brutal regime. And yet, in just 8 years of this war that the US started in Iraq, way more people were killed. A power vacuum was opened up that allowed ISIS to thrive. And for what? Why did we do this?
Nah, bro, you don't get it, bro. We had to do it, bro. Come on, bro. Just please, bro. Just don't ask questions. Bro, come on. We just got to do a little bit of that fucking war shit, brother. Come on, brother. We got to do it for freedom. Just don't ask questions, bro. Come on, bro. We got oil out of it, bro. We sold weapons to both sides of the conflict, bro. We're still fucking doing democracy, baby. Who cares, bro? Come on, bro. I mean, on top of that, it's like I finished daddy's job as well. The job that daddy started, bro. Come on, dude. Come on, brother. You don't understand it. So good. It's so fucking good.
How was this worth it? I really believe that in the aftermath of those towers falling, this group of guys began constructing a story for themselves, a fantasy. One not grounded in real facts from intelligence, but one grounded in fear, in a desire to be the hero, in the messianic complex that always infects the powerful. That fantasy trickled down and spread to other people in power.
I think this is the only part of that I don't agree with, where it's like, it's not like ideological, or it's not pure ideology, but his counter is like pure ideology. I think it's literally, it's money. It's what America's biggest jobs program, America's biggest government jobs program is the U.S. military, and America's most important sector is the military-industrial complex. Like, that's it. That's why. We benefit tremendously from natural resource extraction. We benefit from keeping the Middle East as destabilized as possible because of our most important allies there. They benefit from that. There are too many reasons to invade Iraq and fuck that entire region up and continue on our war. Also, the other reason is fucking Halliburton, man.
Leading us into one of the most catastrophic and unnecessary wars in modern history.
I challenge the president or whoever has us here for 15 months to ride alongside me. I'll do another 15 months if he comes out here and rides along with me every day for 15 months.
Oof, Saddam Hussein, George Bush, Paul Wolfowitz. What a story. What a story. Yeah. Anyway, I want to thank the sponsor of the video today, ExpressVPN, which is a service I've used for years. When I traveled, I would use it all the time to basically route
So in my previous
connection
video
through
about the short squeeze of GameStop by Wall Street Bets, I really explained what short sales are, but I didn't give you enough explanation about what a short squeeze actually is technically. I apologize for that. And in this video, I'm going to give you a 30-minute explanation.
This was a really good
exactly
video, by the way. This was a really good video from Johnny. Shouts out to Johnny. He's killing it. Great. I'm glad I welcomed him. I'm glad I welcomed him
as an FBI
into our homes.
Now, if you short a stock, you basically lend shares. You sell these shares, wait for the share price to drop, buy back your shares, and return it to the lender, pocketing the difference. Now, it may happen that while you wait, the share price actually goes up. If the share price goes up, as I mentioned in the previous video, you're fucked. I mean, you pretty much have to pay the difference. Now, here's the thing. Everybody knows exactly which shares are getting shorted. It's public information. So you know exactly which companies are heavily shorted. Now, if everybody in the market knows that in certain stocks are shorted, like GameStop, because they're actually known to be in trouble as far as, where the market is going, their declining revenues. So what happens is that if people know that a stock is heavily shorted, it creates an opportunity. Now, this opportunity would be in the form of squeezing the shorts. Exactly how it works. Now, if I'm hoping that the share price goes down while I actually owe the shares to somebody else, what will happen if the share price goes up? I get stuck. I have to pay the difference. I'm losing money. So what actually happens in a short squeeze is that by creating this massive demand, you increase the price of a stock almost instantaneously and hyperbolically without any fundamentals actually driving the share price up. For example, an approval by the FDA for a pharmaceutical company, right? If nothing fundamentally changed and just creating an artificial price spike, that is a short squeeze. Since this company is heavily shorted, you basically now putting the short sellers in the ringer. They have to join in the action and basically dig their own grave. That is the crazy part. So what these people actually do is they wait for a piece of good news. For example, the investment by Ryan Cohen into GameStop, which actually created a lot of positive momentum. They get on that wave and they start a tidal wave by buying up stock like crazy. Now what happens is that while they're driving the stock price up, the short sellers are trying to cover their positions, trying to cover their shorts because they're...
Dude, I find it, in a weird way, it's like, I mean, it's not even in a weird way. It's kind of fucking cool that they were able to use a very obvious flaw in how the stock market operates by being able to drive enough collective momentum against a stock that is literally by every fucking metric supposed to go down and down and down further and further because it's a company that is in a state of disarray. Like, and we're able to like hurt hedge funds that were making the smart fucking bet in that situation. So it is a pretty fucking funny story overall. You are so horny for money, Hassan. Yikes. What? The fuck are you talking about? It wasn't Wall Street Bets, and people keep saying that. I don't understand the trigger for the squeeze wasn't retail. 95% of GME ownership is institutional, and plus 5% is insider. Only 4.5 is retail, and that's not enough to move the needle on a short like this. So what happened then? There had to have been some fucking mobilization. How did people mobilize against it?
anticipating a price increase, so they have to cover their shorts before the margin call. Now, I'll explain in a second what a margin call is, but basically, it's almost like a self-feeding fire, or whether you want to use a different analogy, a snowball effect. As the share price goes up, the short...
The guy on Reddit, D fucking value, has turned $57,000 into $22 million. Wall Street Bet owns more than 4.5.
Short sellers are actually joining in on the buying action, creating their own demise, essentially digging their own grave. So as this actually gets stronger and stronger, the short sellers are actually the ones fueling the fire because they're buying up everything they can to cover their shorts. Now, the short sellers are basically terrified of one cataclysmic event. Now, if your broker at some point thinks that you can't cover the position, they're going to close the position for you. And they're going to buy it at whatever cost the market will actually have at that time, which might be a cataclysmic, catastrophic event for you if the share price is really, really high. Now, that's the whole story here. Now, here's the thing. According to the SEC, and I'm reading directly from the SEC website, short sales are legal, short squeezes can happen naturally, but here's what they have to say. Although some short squeezes may occur naturally in the market, a scheme to manipulate the price of availability of a stock in order to cause a short squeeze is illegal. Now, how does this apply to Wall Street bets? Well, first of all, you have to prove that you had a scheme to manipulate the market, which is a questionable thing to prove because it's just a subreddit. A lot of these people out there are joking, kidding. It's really hard to tell how serious that is. In my layman opinion, good luck to the SEC to prove that actually what happened with Wall Street bets. Good luck finding these people. I don't think that beyond an academic question, this actually has any actual real life implications, ramifications, whatever.
Doesn't this mean with like every time Elon Musk decides to fucking tweet about some shit, it's literally illegal then? Like, wouldn't this literally fucking make Elon Musk tweeting about game stonk? Ugh. No, a lot of it happened before he even tweeted, but yes, that's why he got in trouble that one time, the pre-stock split. He's gotten fined for it before. It can't be legal because he's rich. I mean, him doing it for Tesla is fucking worse than him doing it for GameStop, though. Him doing it for Tesla is like way worse. And he has done it for Tesla, so. No, his tweet is not illegal. He owns no shares in Jimmy, unlike when he did with Tesla. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Like, him doing it with Tesla is like literally fucking insane. Especially because at the time, I think his salary was directly tied to the performance of Tesla stock, right? Financial regulation is laughably toothless. Elon Musk is 100% BJ, and yeah. r/Wall Street Brett's about to blow up another hedge fund. This one valued at $13.1 billion before the Reddit trolls decided to buy all GameStop. Up nearly 100 just today after being about 100% yesterday. Lol. Tell me we're not in a bubble. If GameStop goes up another 17%, this hedge fund will instantly collapse. 13.1 billion gone. Elon Musk just tweeted about the stock, and now they're trading at 192 after hours. If they open at this price, Melvin Capital will go bankrupt tomorrow morning. 13.1 billion in the wealth transferred from Wall Street to Reddit trolls. What we're witnessing isn't traditional pump and dump. It's an unorganized yet collective effort of meme lords and average Americans to completely ignore all market fundamentals and through the power of social media bankrupt hedge funds overnight, taking their funds. Legality unclear. Reddit is also in the process of memifying AMC stock to revive it from the dead. This is like the Occupy Wall Street movement, but on their own turf with real financial consequences. Incredible. So what they're trying to do is like look for fucking stock that would understandably be shorted because because it's a company that's at the verge of fucking bankruptcy, and then use the stock market principles against specific hedge funds. Not even recognizing which hedge fund is like bought a bunch of positions against it, right? But assuming that someone would be absolutely doing that, and then pumping pumping up the stock prices of it. It's like, does BlackBerry even, it's public info, they can tell when they'll be due. They can see who's shorting it. Is this how they take down capitalism? They short squeeze every failing company. AMC, Bed Bath & Beyond, and BlackBerry are current targets. I'm gonna buy and shut down Fortnite. Y'all realize they can fuck over boomers' retirement monies? To answer the other chatter, most of the stock is owned by institutions, but Wall Street Bets buys call options, which has 100x leverage. Betting against GME because of shit. People said fuck Melvin and drove the price through the roof, bankrupting them. I'm paying off 20K CAD in student loans from GameStop options. The Reddit guy that found out about GME looked into the financials and realized they were actually not going bankrupt. In order for it to work, there needs to be enough people holding for long enough to continue pumping the price up. Yeah, but how would a one-word tweet be considered a scheme? Did you even listen to the guy in the video? Yeah, Elon Musk was actually tweeting that exact same fucking subreddit post, or this specific subreddit for no reason with the game stonk. When he said game stonk and actually posted about Wall Street Bets, what Elon Musk was actually doing was randomly and casually saying that. It's just, what are sentences really? Why would you just string along sentences, you know? I mean, seriously, Your Honor. If anything, Elon is responsible for memeing too close to the sun. These are just jokes. Like, shut the fuck up, idiot. You know exactly what he was doing. And by the way, I don't even have a problem with this. Like, this seems fucking dope. So, like, this is great. It is collective action, despite the fact that some of these dudes are annoying as fuck. It literally looks like utilizing the very glaring problems within the way that the stock market works against certain hedge funds. Well, this is funny. The people buying at 100 plus aren't going to get their money back. It's a pump and dump with memes. This isn't dope. Yeah, well, the people that are buying into it now are probably going to be fucked, so don't do that. Elon is known for absolutely hating shorts, so he is most likely loving this. Yes, you are correct on your analysis of what Redditors are doing versus what's reasonable based on the situation. I'm impressed. I'm an algorithmic trader. Super ironic how a stock app called Robinhood is literally stealing money away from billionaire hedge funds. I mean, one so far, and let's see how this pans out. Listen, if I know one thing, okay, if I know one thing, in the United States of America, you can't steal from the rich. You will literally go to jail, okay? Even if you yourself are rich, you can't steal from the rich. Bernie Madoff, motherfucker. It's not because he stole from the poor, it's because he stole from the rich. Okay? So, they will figure out a way to punish these people. 100%. 1,000%. There's no way. Especially because this exposes something that many leftists, who everyone ironically says you don't know what the fuck you're talking about in regards to the stock market, have been saying about the stock market. They're literally going on the mainstream media shows and crying for the SEC to do something about Reddit. Yeah, it's like... And by the way, the SEC might do something about Reddit. Shorting is unethical and stupid unless you know for sure it's going down. It's illegal where I'm from. We were holding until 1K price. GameStop was in a unique position of being over 100% shorted. I mean, there are companies like GameStop that are in that position. And that's precisely why I assume a lot of people are now doing the same thing to Bed Bath & Beyond, which I didn't even know what their situation was, but like it makes sense to do it to AMC, for example. You know? Elon is in the Wall Street Bets Discord talking about how AMD chips and AMC popcorn make a good combo. You just made AMC jump up 50 cents. Yeah, I can see Wall Street Bets being taken down with claims that this is like stock market manipulation. SEC can't do shit. It's free speech. What? The SEC can't really do much here. This isn't actually an organization. That's true, but I don't know. I feel like they could whip something up if enough hedge funds feel threatened by it. I feel as though they would side with the actually wealthy people and not like a bunch of fucking trust fund kids and numerous other people that might not even be all that wealthy that are making a fuckload of money from. Ne kadar sürer Rice? O zaman yok pideyle ver. Ne olur çok aşım. Bir de şey var orada dünden kalan salata var evet. Rice'ı da yaparsan yerim yaptığın zaman. The shorts are public, so I assume they just go to where the shorts are happening and determine if it's viable to move it. This won't last forever, but for now I'm going to take advantage. Do it. The stock guy is taking advantage. First Amendment over any SEC regulation? Dude, you guys are insane if you think that. There is no fucking First Amendment protection here. Like, if they declare it to be illegal, then it's fucking illegal. I want to know what they're going to do. I want to know what happens. I legitimately am interested. This seems like one of the few good stories that I've seen so far that have ever come out of Wall Street Bets. And, you know, that's great. This is a good video on the misinformation characterizing Wall Street Bets as evil. In fact, Melvin is being reported for market manipulation with the help of a market maker, Citadel. People don't understand how rich people operate and how free this market is. You are spot on. They're getting punished. Yeah, they're... Well, companies that are shorting... like hedge funds that short GameStop are literally doing what they're supposed to do with the assumption that it's going to blow up, or were doing what they were supposed to do. But because of how you can actually manipulate stock prices, this sort of thing, I think, exposes an inherent flaw in the stock market in the way that it's designed. If you have enough people believe your fucking shit. I mean, Elon Musk kind of does this. You know what I mean? These are the same psychos that voted for Harambe in 2016. Truly a special breed. I mean, this is actually so much better than voting for fucking Harambe, though. Its 5-year high is like 26. This thing is going to drop like crazy within a week, especially after people take profits tomorrow. The people who had GameSpot stocks before are pogging. Who the fuck had GameStop stocks? I can't even talk. The fuck? Who like accidentally had that shit? on the legality of it. Jim Cramer wins because he recognizes the new money and force behind Wall Street bets. Jim Cramer is... Wait.
Well, first, it's great to see Herb and your gang is so right about so much of this. I've never seen it before. And what Wall Street Bets, which is really driving this, what they've done, that's a site on Reddit. What they've done is target large short positions. Now, they have...
I fucking love that they're talking about a subreddit, dude. Lyric did. Forgot I bought 100 GME for 3... Wait, what? Why did he do that? That's so random. Why would anybody ever do that? Gamer at heart. It's called value. I have 140 shares at like 15 bucks. LMAO. I'm in the Wall Street Bet Discord call right now with like 300 people, and they're talking about future stocks to pump like Nokia, but they're saying hold GME to hold until the hedge fund calls expire. Why would anyone follow a Wall Street Bet rally for a month, Pepega? I bought a meme share back in March, no cap. I think I was just finishing a smoke fap. I'll send you proof. I was like, why is my Dusty Robin Hood going up so much? So dumb, dude. A guy on Reddit betted on it like a year ago and is up 11 million from 60K. Okay, that's psychotic. Yuck. How many people are out there who have fucking dusty ass Bitcoin wallets with like millions of dollars in it, but they just literally can't open it? That's the real question. Actually, the guy's up 22 million now from 53K. What the fuck? I mean, good for them, dude. Honestly, their Discord calls the 2020 version of being on the market floor. That's so funny. Oh, Jesus. That sounds horrible, dude. That is... I bought 60 AMC stock at $2 literally this month because I thought maybe after vaccines it would go up. I love the idea of like literally rewarding people for making the wrong bet. I think that's great. I do. I like punishing institutions in a way that they could not foresee by literally rewarding people for doing the wrong thing. It sounds fucking awesome.
Have not targeted
like literally seeking out the worst bet.
Top was 148% short. They went after Best Buy this morning because that's 67% short. They're obviously,
I never thought I would say that.
By the way, BlackBerry's not. They just happen to be a big favorite. Palantir, we don't know where they're doing, but I actually think, Herb, that they're smarter than we think. They're after the ones that are too shorted. No, short selling is not dead, but they're very smart about what to target.
Wait a minute. What you just said, target.
Imagine if this destroys, like, actually, I don't know if it would ever do that, but, like, if this destroys short selling.
So here's my question. How is it that they can target, and that's legal, and if there was, in the old days, a bear raid, that was illegal? When does this become manipulation, Jim?
It's such a tough question because, remember, what's manipulation? How about if an analyst came out right now and said, I think GameStop is going to 250? Would we give that